He's the playmaker, the Cowboys Hall of Famer, Michael Irvin, joining us on the show. Michael, how are you today?
Dan, I'm doing well. Dan.
You sound very serious.
Well, we have serious times now in the NFL. You know, we haven't had much time as we've gone into these first 2 weeks with all the situations going on and talk much football. We've been talking about a lot of the issues that are going on around the league and in the league, and really around this country.
Should we be talking about these issues as much as we have been?
Well, Dan, you know, honestly, as hard as it is that we're not talking about football, this has to be addressed. And I think the owner, Steve Pisciotti, said it best. The Ravens owner said it best. You know, if the league has to get out front and be the one that leads this and try to send a message to, certainly, first of all, the people that are in the league, but hopefully the people that are in this country, that this has to stop. And I've said to people, I refuse to victimize the people, again, of domestic abuse by saying that this problem is contained within the NFL. When you look at the numbers, and every so many seconds a woman is being abused, and 3 women a day or something like this being killed from violence, domestic violence. So, you know, if the NFL has to get out front and do it, then I'm with that.
Well, what is happening now, Mike, is sports is now the voice when it comes to gays, or if there's domestic abuse or there's child abuse. All of these topics that people probably didn't feel comfortable talking about, we at least have a forum now to discuss it. And I have no problem doing that because I think if we don't, domestic violence is not brought up. Child abuse is not brought up. And even Michael Sam, gays, lesbians, then we've become that opportunity to be able to discuss this, the forum to be able to do that.
Yeah, Dan, and you're exactly right. And that part, because I don't think we move forward, and certainly don't move forward together unless we get an opportunity to share and share all of our thoughts. That's why within company, organizations, and corporation, diversity is so important. But even saying that, Dan, even discussing things like this, you have to be careful discussing things like this, because if you say something that people don't like, and you're just talking about it in a discussion kind of a way, then people put you in the same boat and say, oh, you are an abuser or these things. So it is great to have these discussions, but we certainly understand the climate of the area is so hot and everybody is up in arms, as they should be, especially with what we've seen here lately, as they should be. But yeah, it is a good thing that we can discuss this.
What do you think of the Vikings' decision to sit down Adrian Peterson?
I think it's something they had to do. You know, they had to do it. And for what we're trying to accomplish now, it's the right thing to do. You know, it's the right thing to do. And so, because, I was on Twitter the other day, and somebody tweeted me, and I was sharing with them. I said, yes, I as a kid, my dad certainly whooped me, as they like to run the word around, or whooped me and stuff. And people, Michael, well, you want to be? I said, listen, I just shared with you my dad that I took a whooping. That's all. I'm not saying anything. I tell you what, I'll never forget this, Dan. I remember when I was getting my sons from middle school, going to high school, out of elementary school and middle school and going to high school, and I was sitting with their principal, because I tell my boys, if they ever call me to the school, then you have no credibility. You're in trouble. So that when they call me, I go in there. I'm hot, Dan. Because that's all when I grew up. Man, they yelled at me. I remember Michael, don't you, just yelling at me. But I watched this principal. His name is Mr. Bill Wendell. I watched him and how he talked to Michael or talked to Elijah. And afterwards, when we got my boys on to high school, I told him, I said, thank you. Because all I did was what I saw and what I knew growing up.
Yeah.
But spending time with you has helped me realize that even though all those times my father and they were yelling at me, I never really understood what I did wrong or broke it down to me. But this is what the principal was doing for my son. So I told them, thank you for helping me with that, because all we know is what we've gone through and what we've been through and how we grew up, and we usually try to perpetuate that forward with our kids.
I'll let you walk your dog there for a moment. Can we take a break and I come back? I want to ask you about when you were with the Cowboys and how teams protect stars, and if you're comfortable doing that. Can we take a break and do that?
Yeah, we'll do that, Dan.
All right, we'll come back. We'll talk to Michael Irvin. This is the Dan Patrick Show. When you were with the Cowboys, and if something happened, how did the team deal with it? What was the process that the Cowboys dealt with things?
Well, we were in different times then, and the Cowboys went through, and we worked with the league if you had an issue, and certainly, you work with the league on it. But with this something like this, and you would talk with the Cowboys first, and then of course they reach out to the league. But something like this it's bigger than the individual teams. So it's getting a chance, and I'm sure the league is stepping in on all of it.
Star players got different treatment with the Cowboys?
Well, that was Jimmy's. Jimmy's always said, certain players have earned certain rights, and what he meant by that was like if, for instance, one of the guys fell asleep in a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
You fall asleep in a meeting, Jimmy will tell you to pack your bags and get out of here. When Emmitt Smith falls asleep in a meeting, he says, hey, yo, Emmitt, why don't you wake up? That's the kind of thing that Jimmy would talk about, yes.
What if you had social media back with the Cowboys?
Yeah, listen, if your social media is hey, it's all the time, everywhere. Somebody's watching, and somebody has a comment to make now without using the avenues that we call the traditional avenues of making the comments, TV, radio. Everybody gets a shot, and everybody gets an opportunity. And, hey, I as an old-timer, I balked at a lot of it, but I'm certainly joining in. And I enjoy doing social media, Twitter, because it's an opportunity for people to talk and us to talk and share, just like we're doing now.
If your Cowboys played now, though, Mike.
Yeah, what about if we played now?
How would you guys be covered?
Yeah, well, we'll still be covered like they're covering every other team now.
Oh, you guys you'd be rock stars.
Yeah, we were rock stars then. We were rock stars, in the sense that we're talking about the kind of coverage we got because we were winning championships. Now, we didn't just win one. We didn't just win two. We won three, and we won them in a bunch of time. So of course we got covered heavily, and it would have been covered much more heavy, heavier, I should say, because of all the social media and everything. But Dan, let me tell you something, man. We had certainly we had people that did certain things, and I was one of them. But we had people that I don't recall things like this. Things like this, and this does alter something. When I saw that video of Ray Rice, I tell people I don't know what I thought happened in that elevator, but obviously I'm ignorant and not experienced in this area, and I just didn't expect to see what I saw.
What was more disturbing, that video or the pictures of Adrian Peterson's 4-year-old?
All of it's disturbing.
Well, more disturbing.
Dan, I don't know if you can put a more on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all disturbing. You're talking about people.
Do you think Adrian Peterson plays again for the Vikings?
I think the court will decide that. Adrian Peterson, as he has said over and over, he was trying to discipline his son. I saw one of those attorneys, Roger Cossack, on one of these shows talking about the race car driver.
Tony Stewart.
Because they're opening an investigation on Tony Stewart. And the one thing he said, which I thought was interesting, was this whole case for Tony Stewart will hinge on intent.
Yep.
Intent. Did he intend to do that? And he doesn't know how they're going to prove that he intended to do that. And that was interesting. And I don't know, maybe that'd be the same situation with Adrian Peterson and Adrian Peterson's case.
Well, this is going to a grand jury, though, Tony Stewart. So it is very serious. I don't know where Adrian Peterson, that story goes, Ray Rice's story goes. Do you think Ray Rice gets a second chance? Do you think he plays in the NFL again?
It's hard to say right now. It's hard to say, and he's going through the appeal process. But with where the league is and this climate, and the climate right now around the league's coming down, rightfully so, on everybody and anybody that's dealing in this issue, that's a part of this horrific sickness of domestic violence.
Always good to visit with you, Irv.
Dan, we'll talk on better times.
Yes. I look forward
buddy.
to that. Thank you. That's Michael Irvin.